So this is 2.5. You should have this worksheet, and here is what goes in that worksheet. So an R-squared coefficient of determination, first off, when you have on your calculator, first off you need to go to second catalog, and then D, which is this button right here, and then you want to find where it says diagnostic on. Hit enter and enter, and it will turn it on. Whether it's on or whether it's not, it doesn't matter. You can turn it on again. It won't hurt anything. But with this being on, it allows this R-squared coefficient and this R coefficient to come up when we put the data in. So, scoot this over here. A coefficient of determination, R-squared. R-squared is used for anything else other than linear models. R is used when we're talking about linear. But the coefficient of determination is a percent, so it's a decimal. And the higher the decimal or the higher the percent, that means the better the fit of the equation that you put in there. And it means that whatever percent that you have of the data can be explained by the regression equation. If we're talking about a R correlation, then we're talking about a number that's somewhere between -1 and 1. And if it's -1, then it means it is a perfect negative correlation, meaning that all the dots are on the line and it's a negative slope. If it is a 1, then that means it's a perfect line that's positive slope where all the dots, all the data fall on the line. 0 means no correlation, and that means that your dots are so spread out, your data, that you can't tell if it's positive or negative. So let's look at some data. Alright, so the table below gives the number of gallons of oil in a tank used for heating an apartment complex T days after January 1st when the tank was filled. So this would be January 1st. This would be technically January 2nd, January 3rd, January 4th, January 5th. And this is how many gallons were in the tank. The table below gives the number of gallons of oil in a tank used for heating an apartment complex T days after January 1st. So this is how much it was in there on the 1st. Here's what's on it left on the 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th. Alright, so what is the rate of change of the amount of oil? Be sure to include units. So we're going to pull our calculator up, and we're going to press stat. I'll have to put this over here, and then edit, and we're going to put our x values, our t values, into L1. So 0, enter, 1, enter, 2, enter, 3, enter, 4, enter. Then we're going to put our gallons I don't think I got that one in there. Okay, so I've got my data in there. It says, what is the rate of change? Be sure to include the units of the amount of oil. So rate of change is the same as slope. It's the same as slope. So if we find our equation of the line, then we will have our slope. So stat calc 4. We have to tell it list 1, comma, list 2. Now some of you might have a calculator that it has list 1, or it says X list and then Y list maybe, and that's where you need to put list 1 and list 2. And then it says store, I think, and that's where you're going to put vars, Y vars 1 1, and I'll show you what I mean by that. For the rest of us, and then it'll say calculate, and so you'll hit enter and then enter and it'll pull up the information. For the rest of us, with this calculator, we're going to put comma, and this is where you're gonna put it in store, and we're gonna put it right here. We go to vars, we arrow to Y vars, and then we press the number 1 and then equation 1, and now enter. If you're doing it this way, then you have to hit enter. So here is our equation, y equals ax plus b. Well, first off, before we do that, it did not tell us it was linear, so we need to turn on our scatter plot. So second y equals, and this is what you should see. If these are on, press 4, enter, 4, enter. Well, that didn't work for me. 4, enter, and then go back to stat. Forgot what we were doing. Oh, this is where we were. Second y equals. Second y equals. Okay. Alright, so we're going to hit enter and turn plot 1 on. So hit enter again. And then we want to arrow down. And this is the one we want, which is a scatter plot. Our X list is an L1. Our Y list is an L2. Just use this dot. And now we want to press zoom 9. Now, before we want to clear this out of here. So great. Alright, so if we look here, we see that it appears linear. So because of that reason, we're going to do stat calc 4, and then you do your L1, comma, L2, comma, vars, Y vars, 1, 1, and then hit enter. And what that does is it gives us our information, so we can come over here. We can see that our slope is negative 400 and our y-intercept is 30,000. So we're going to write that down first. Our slope is negative 400. That would be over 1. And so what that says is that it goes down 400 gallons every 1 day. So What is the rate of change of the amount of oil, negative 400 gallons, over 1 day? How much oil can be expected to be used during any particular week in January? So, if we say 7 days times negative 400, then we would say that we would use 2,800 gallons in any particular week. So predict the amount of oil in the tank at the beginning of the day on January 30th. Assumptions. What assumptions are you making when you make predictions about the amount of oil? Are they valid assumptions? So if we predict how much oil at the beginning of the day on January 30th, then what we would say, or how would you predict it? Would you just make a guess? Or would you say negative 400, or 400 times 30 days? So 400 times 30 days, let's see, 400 times 30. So predict the amount of oil in the tank at the beginning of the day on January 30th. So we would say 30,000 minus 12,000. So we would predict 8,000 gallons on January 30th. Find the equation of the amount of oil in the tank. Oh, wait a second. What assumptions are you making when you make these predictions? Well, you're making the assumption that you're going to use the same amount of oil each day, but that doesn't, you've got to take into consideration that you might have colder days or warmer days. So are the assumptions valid? No, because you might have colder days or warmer days. Find the equation of the line for the amount of oil. Well, we did that right here. So that would be y equals negative 400 x plus 30,000. And x would equal number of days after January 1st, and y would equal the amount of oil in tank. Alright, I'm going to stop this video. I think that's the end of this. Let me make sure. I'm running out of time. Oh, wait, no. Let's do some more. I've got about a minute. Find the equation of the line. When should the tank be refilled? Alright, so our equation was negative 400x plus 30,000. So y equals negative 400x plus 30,000. And it says, when should the tank be refilled? Well, you'd want to refill it when there was nothing left. So if we solve this equation, we get negative 400x equals negative 30,000. And if we divide that, I'm running out of time, so whatever you get when you divide that, I'll answer it on the next video.